Strikers!
Hello everyone and welcome to our very first NotSoReview. I am Ed, and I will be your host, and today we're doing Inazuma 11 Strikers for the Nintendo Wii. Now, what is a NotSoReview? Well, it's pretty much my way of showing you certain impressions, certain opinions on video games that don't normally lend themselves very well to being Let's Played. And it's funny because the name NotSoReview, I didn't come up with it. It came from the mind. It was a suggestion by a friend. He has a YouTube Let's Play channel as well. His name is Plastic Alan. He's really cool. Well, in case you're curious, I'm gonna leave his channel in the description. Anyways, Inazuma 11 Strikers, what is this? It is not like the DS versions of Inazuma 11. Those are RPGs. This one could be compared more closely to, I guess, real football video games such as Pro Evolution Soccer or FIFA. But this one has all the ludicrous special moves that you've come to expect of the Inazuma 11 series. So without further ado, let's get into this. Oh, by the way, if you're following my playthrough of the first Inazuma 11 for the Nintendo DS, or if you're playing through the game yourself, this is going to contain major spoilers. So be forewarned, not really story spoilers, because there isn't really much of a story to speak of in this game, but mainly characters. You'll see a lot of characters that I haven't found, and maybe you haven't either if you're playing through the game yourself. Well, you have a list of many here. Most of them, actually, at the bottom, are from the third game that it hasn't released in Europe yet. I don't know if it ever will, but you might not know a lot of these. You should know the ones in the first row, though. So let's go with Mark here. This is basically, I'm just picking an avatar for my file. No, I do not want to view the tutorial. I'll be your tutorial, because I've spent a little time with this game, maybe about a couple of hours. I've played a few matches.
Choose which mode you want to play.
Just so I would know what the hell I'm talking about when I'm explaining things here. So basically, you have the bare bones, not really the bare bones, but you have the basic modes that you would find in normal football video games, such as you have Exhibition. Exhibition is probably the fastest way you would go into a match. You go in, you pick a team, you pick an opposing team, you set some rules, you pick a stadium, and you go into a match. It's really self-explanatory. You can play up to 4 people, I believe, in all the modes. 4 is the maximum number of people that can play this game at once. I am not sure though, because I don't even have one friend to test the game out with me. It actually came out last week, I think on the 28th, and I haven't had time to try it out with other people. So under this you have the mini games tab. They have only 5 mini games, not a lot of them, and they sort of give me off the vibe of Pokemon Stadium mini games. Have you played Pokemon Stadium? If you have, you'll know what I mean, but I'm gonna play a couple in a second. Well, not really right now, a little bit later, and we'll go through those. Then you have the settings. This is basic settings for whatever in video games, except for one. You have a password system here that if this works like the Japanese version, if you know the passwords, you can unlock certain characters that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise in the game. I don't know any, so no use asking me. And then you have tournament. In tournament mode, you can enter with up to 4 players, and then you have the option of having a 4-team tournament or an 8-team tournament. That's pretty much it. But then comes the club room mode, and this is probably the most important mode and the one that I'm going to look into first, because here you can create your own team and do a bunch of other things. I will go through most of them and explain to you what you can and can't do.
Hi, welcome to the club room. I'm Mark Evans.
Oh, hi, Mark.
The first thing you've got to do is choose the name of your team.
Sure thing, buddy.
Don't worry, you can change it later if you want.
Oh, that's cool. Alright, so team for us. The basic name is Raimon, and I don't want to lose a lot of time with this, so I'm going to call these guys the Raimon Bros. There we go.
Cool name, I like it. Okay, let me give you a little tour of the club room.
Alright.
This is the competition icon. You can enter your team in competitions here.
Yeah, that's a little bit self-explanatory. Well, pretty much the competitions, what are they? In this mode, in the club room mode, you create your own team. You can buy players for your own custom team. You can buy different uniforms for your team and other things that I'll get into later. But basically the competition, what it allows you to do is fight major teams for the 3 first DS games, because there are only characters and teams from the first 3 games. In Japan, there are more Inazuma 11 Strikers games. There's even one coming out in December, the 20th of December, I believe. But I'll talk about that later. Let's continue on here.
This is the match icon. Choose this if you want to play friendly matches against other teams.
Pretty much when you beat teams in competition mode, you can then play them in friendlies in the match menu here.
Then you've got the trading icon. Train to increase the friendship bonds and technique points.
Yes, the training mode is where you will play the 5 mini-games of the minigame mode that I showed you earlier. I'm going to go into this later a little bit. What are friendship bonds and technique points? Technique points are basically what they are in the DS games. You need them to perform special techniques, sort of like MP in an RPG, but you usually have enough to perform as many as you like because they sort of regenerate in this game, but hey, we'll get into that later. And friendship bonds, what are those? Pretty much by playing with characters that you pick from a list in this mode and doing matches and competition matches, your characters will basically befriend each other, and there's a percentage meter I'll show you later. And the more friendly they are towards each other, the stronger the friendship bonds are, the more techniques that they can do together. I'll explain this a little better when we actually get into a match, because what that actually means is that you will unlock certain moves that you wouldn't otherwise possibly use if their friendship bonds weren't high enough. But hey, let's continue.
Make your team stronger by training and playing matches, and try to win all the competitions.
All the competitions.
Next up is the team icon. Choose this to change the setup of your team.
Pretty much here you can buy and, well, no, not buy. This is how you basically set up your team, set up which players you want, where you want them, your formations, technical things like that. We'll get into that later too.
Underneath that is the scout icon. You can use your Inazuma points here to scout players.
In this game, the currency is the Inazuma points. They chose not to use prestige points for whatever reason. That's the currency in the DS games. I don't know why. I didn't make these decisions. Basically, in this mode, what you can do is once you beat teams in competition mode, you can go into Scout, and then you can buy them with Inazuma points, the players from the teams that you've beaten before.
And lastly, we have the item icon. Here you can shop for items using your Inazuma points.
Yeah, the items icon is pretty much a shop. You can go in, you can buy items that you can use during halftime in matches and other breaks. You can also buy new uniforms and other things. That's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much the what you can do.
Get Inazuma points by winning competitions. Use them to make your team even stronger.
That is true.
Well, I think that covers the basics for the club room. You can learn the rest as you play.
Aha! Yes, I forgot. That's what I that's what I wanted to mention in the items icon. You can also buy manuals. They don't teach them moves from what I could tell, but they sort of raise their stats. They have the same stats that they did in the DS games, I believe. Maybe a little bit dumbed down, not as many, because there are a lot of stats in the DS games. But yeah, that's what you can do.
Let's play football!
Yes, let's play football. Okay, so this is the club room, and pretty much in here, if you go over the characters that are here, they have a little smiley face that indicates their mood at the time. I don't really know what that does, but I can only infer that that sort of influences how much their bonds will grow if you use them in training during this day. Like if you exit this menu and you go in again, for instance, Willy might not be happy. He might be depressed for whatever reason. Anyways, you can also check characters and hear their voices.
Let's go!
And also check on their stats. They're pretty crappy right now, but after beating a few matches, they'll get better. Then in training mode, let's not do training mode. Let's do competition first, so that we can earn some Inazuma points. And so that I can show you what the core of the game is. What will attract you and keep you playing is probably going to be the matches. Okay, so our first match here is going to be against Royal Academy. This already in itself is a spoiler. Yeah, if you haven't played the game or you intend to, yeah, that's a spoiler. You play against Royal Academy. There you go.
Okay, let's prepare for the match.
Alright, so this is the menu that this is what you can do before an actual match. If you press X, you have these options. Let's look at our lineup right here. There are a ton of characters here that I'd like to change. I mean, these guys are good, but I like Eric. Eric is probably my favorite character in the game itself. I'm a fan of the anime, so I know their names in Japanese, and I'll probably refer to them more often than I'd like. Okay, so let's put Sam here, because I like Sam. He's cool. And Max as well. Willie is a dick. I don't like him, but Bobby's cool. I'm going to replace Jim with Bobby. I think I like this setup. This is pretty cool. Okay. So what else can we do? Key players. Basically, key players, you pick 2 key players, and the ones you pick, I guess, influence the stats of the whole team. Like, if you pick a striker like Axel and a goalkeeper like Mark, I guess you will boost guard and kick. That's what the game tells you, at least. I'm not really sure if that's how it works or not. Then we have our formations here. We have the basic formations from the game. I'm going to go with Heaven's Gate. No, 3 top is fine. Dot Prison is okay. I like 3 top, so we're gonna go with that. I'm gonna have to make a little adjustment here, but that's fine. Okay, I'll have those as forwards. That's fine. All right. Then we choose the kickers. That's pretty much the players that you want when you have to do a when there's a foul and you have to do a corner kick, or you have to sort of toss the ball back into the game. These are the players that will do that for you. Then you have items. You can use items and they'll have certain effects, like building certain meters faster or curing TP points at the halfway point and certain things. And then you have the option to check your opponent's information, which we're not going to do because we know a lot about them already. Royal Academy, they're famous. They've never lost in the past 40 years. They're so cool. Okay, so the game itself.
Time to kick off another exciting match. This is going to be a hotly contested match for sure. Live commentary from me.
The game itself is a little bit overwhelming at first, but I'm going to try to go over the controls real quick here. Basically, once you're in your possession of the ball, if you press the B button, you will pass. The longer you press the button, the